Devil May Cry, Castlevania, Persona, even Sonic X. All these incredible games have really nice anime adaptations.
Even Dota 2's gonna get one. But besides these games, another one, Genshin Impact, has become incredibly popular nowadays.
And look at it. It fits the anime format perfectly.
Or is it better not to make Genshin Impact into anime? Let's figure that out.
To begin with, there is a manga that tells about the events before the game in addition to the game itself.
For example, the prologue of the manga tells us the legend of Vanessa, which only appears in the game as a manuscript, and also sometimes gets mentioned in the dialogues. The story of a girl from the people of Muratan, who, thanks to a Nemo Archon, received the keys to Mondstadt and granted the city freedom, dates back to long before the events of the game.
Plus, in addition to the prologue, there is also the main plot, which tells a little more about other heroes from the game. Diluc, Kaya, Jean, Amber, and many others, who already at that time faced the implacable Fatui.
So, many fans suggested that it would be very nice to know not only the story of the old Mondstadt, but the whole history of Teyvat, and that's where the anime would come in handy.
Agreed, the backstory from the manga and other non-implemented ideas of the authors would complement the game perfectly, because basing anime on the game itself, with its enormous number of side quests, could be very difficult. The stories from the books the protagonist collects during his or her journey would already make an interesting, non-linear series on their own.
It's important to remember that the backstory in the manga is not exactly the same as in the game, though. For example, the manga never mentioned the 4 winds, one of each, yet the dragon Dvalin played a crucial role in the game's plot.
Yeah, you're right. Even the dragon Ursa, which is the reason why Muratan ended up in Mondstadt, wasn't clearly mentioned in the game.
This could be justified by the fact that Ordo Favonius decided to hide the cause of the death of Diluc's father. But there is another contradiction. According to the legends from the game, the Helicourls appeared about 500 years ago during the Cataclysm, while according to the manga, they already existed about 1,000 years ago during the time of Vanessa.
And that's kind of surprising. After all, the manga came out before the game. Do you think that could be a problem with the creation of the anime? Fans not quite knowing already what is canon, Mr. Scoffer?
That too, Mr. Fullylover. The anime will add to the confusion. Aren't the manga and the game enough on their own?
Oh, come on. This game is perfect for anime. It's not only its animation style that fits, but there are also plenty of Easter eggs in the game that can be correctly introduced into the plot of the adaptation.
Firstly, not everyone will be able to find and understand the meaning of these Easter eggs right away during viewing. And secondly, one cannot accommodate all of them. Sometimes even game players overlook the NPCs that just stand there without any impact on the plot. And yet these NPCs contain references.
Yes, for example that boy Arthur in Mondstadt, who wants to pull the sword out of the stone. It was very sweet. Or, for example, the guards in front of the entrance of Ordo Favonius, whose names are Athos and Porthos. Or maybe the fact that the names of some of the Fatui were taken from the Italian Commedia dell'arte.
What I'm trying to say is that in the space of a huge game, it is impossible to keep track of everything. And to make a competent, good film adaptation, you will have to spend a lot of time and effort choosing the most notable of references to implement.
Okay, so maybe mentioning all the NPCs that are actually references to something else could be tiresome. But what about the playable characters? Some of them are found on the way to the Traveler, and sometimes they can be dropped out to players as the answer to their prayers. But are the cutscenes and descriptions enough to get to know these characters for real? I would love to watch a show that tells me more about the characters than what is in the game.
Since there is a bit of Mondstadt's character history in the manga, I would like to see more about the Liyue characters, and discovering more about the Fatui would also be a treat.
Oh, I think the Fatui will still cause problems for the main hero as new locations and quests of the game appear.
I must admit that fans are more interested in the story of the protagonist, on whose behalf they are playing, than in the story of the Fatui. Whether it is a brother or a sister is not so important because both of them have a certain background according to the multiple worlds they traveled. How did they do it? Where are they from and who are they?
Ooh, yeah, this is very interesting. But the answers to these questions probably still lie ahead in the game. And now I get what you mean. Maybe it really is better to first wait until all the game locations are open and all the main story quests are completed. Then it will be possible to judge whether it is worth filming Genshin Impact.
Sounds very reasonable. Or, for example, as a supplement to the game, one can make a series of manga or comics that would tell more about the history of the Archons, the guardians of certain lands. Even books from the Traveler's Archive that you've mentioned, Mr. Fullylover, can be easily turned into exciting illustrated stories.
It's great that there are so many ideas, stories, and inspiration within one game. Perhaps that is why people are so fond of it.
Would you like to see an anime adaptation of Genshin Impact? Or is the game enough for you?
Let us know in the comments.
And don't forget to subscribe to Cartoon Junkies.